same formless being screaming out in agony, in total terror, in a hideous scream, then there was no end to it, Pat. There are no words to describe how horrific this was.
They were screaming.
You can't talk, you're in torment, you're screaming. It's very hot. It's not fire, but it's very hot.
Hi, Jazri family.
What's up, everybody?
How are you? Today we are talking about hell. Hell, that is our topic. We are back to that topic. So, if you haven't liked our channel, like it. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe.
You got a like button, subscribe. Be part of our family.
Yes, click like and share.
Please.
Yes. This is a topic that we've done that before, but we feel like we should talk more about it. Because actually, if we don't talk more about it, many people will end up in hell. Many people will not believe there is hell.
If we don't tell you, who's going to tell you?
Oh, yes. And you know, there are many people who are living their lifestyle right now like there is no hell. The way people are living is like this is the only life that we have.
Yeah, live it up, live life to the fullest, well, what they think the fullest, and party, and let's have it. And tomorrow we die.
Yeah, and I used to be one of those people. I mean, I used to think that we've heard about this. How many of you have heard about hell? Like you've heard it all your life, and then you're just thinking, I'm still here, and no one has come to tell us anything. And so you're just thinking, this is the only life we have, because all you see is that your peers are living like that, and you're thinking that's the way we should live. Just enjoy life, and just buy what you want, do what you want, as long as it makes you happy, and then
as long as it makes you happy and doesn't hurt other people, then live it up.
Yes.
What most people think.
Yes. And that's why I say that God is really good and merciful.
Very.
Because there are people who've experienced hell. Like they've experienced and come to tell us. Because in the Bible, remember that guy who wanted to come and tell other people? It was who? Abraham? And the story of the rich guy, Lazarus
and the rich man.
Yes, and he wanted to tell his brothers that hell is real, and he didn't get that chance. But now we are being given chances. People are coming and experiencing. Like some people, they become unconscious and they are taken in the spirit form and they see it. And something funny, have you noted everybody knows that this is hell? Once they reach there, they just know. I mean, when you die, you will know this is hell. So it means at the back of our minds, people always know that there's heaven and hell, but people just assume that, they don't want to talk about it. But once you die, you're like, this is real. This is real. My goodness, I'm in hell. And you don't know what to do.
Let me say something real quick, baby. Just because you don't want to talk about it, don't mean it makes it any less to be real. The Bible says, absent from the body, be present with the Lord. If you're ready to meet the Lord. If not, there's judgment. And there's one or two places you're going. Heaven or hell.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes. And you guys, there's this story. This lady shot herself. And in the midst, you know, when you shoot yourself, you start bleeding and you start losing your life. Because once you bleed a lot, you become unconscious. And in that state, she started having that vision. I think she was out of her body where you're between life and death. And then she saw herself. She found herself in hell. And let me tell you what she experienced there. I mean, when I hear these stories, I tell you, this is a place you should never end up. Just watch this. Just watch this. And it's actually two guys, yeah?
Yeah.
There are two guys. There's a lady and a guy. So the guy also experienced the same thing. And that's why I feel like this is not a lie. Like what they are explaining, these are two different people from different places, but they're experiencing almost the same thing. And they're explaining and describing the same things.
Have no clue who each other are, babe. They have no clue of each other who they are.
Yeah.
This lady don't even know this guy's telling about the story. But yet their stories coincide with each other. And perfectly with each other.
Yes. Let's listen to these stories. And you'll tell us what you think about it.
And I aimed it directly for my heart because I was not going to miss. I was so desperate for my pain and my suffering to end. When I pulled that trigger, I knew my body was dying. I felt the blood rushing through my lungs. Death gripped my body. I became blind. I became deaf. And as my soul left my body, I began traveling faster than the speed of light. And I began falling and falling and falling. And all of a sudden, this explosion happened on the inside of me. It was as if there was like a sulfuric type acid burn that consumed me in every way. It was so hideous and terrifying. There are no words to describe the level of pain and the type of burn that I was experiencing. It was hell. It was what the Bible describes as hell. It was the fire of hell. And when I looked around, not only was I in a place of death, but I now had become death. I was no longer in a place where there was peace. I was in a place of total torment. So the Bible describes that death is the absence of God. In the absence of God, in the absence of anything good, your soul actually transforms into a being of fear, which is the opposite of love. So my being, my person turned into a being of fear, a being of pain, a being in total isolation.
There weren't anybody else around you.
Pat, I could look out and I could see thousands, millions of people that were all around me, but I was unable to communicate with them. It was a huge sea of people.
Yes,
and there were many, many chambers that were all around me. And all of the people that were there were in the same formless being, screaming out in agony, in total terror, in a hideous scream. Then there was no end to it, Pat. There are no words to describe how horrific this was.
They were screaming in agony.
They were screaming in agony, and because they had become total beings of death. And that's hard for the physical mind to understand those things. But when I would look at it, I remember looking at an individual, particularly, and they were as close to me as you are. And when I saw them, I knew everything about them. I knew every sin they had committed. I knew my knowledge about their life was completely full. I knew everything they had done wrong. I knew their thoughts. I knew their emotions. I knew the will. I knew everything I could think upon. My wisdom was in its fullness, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. In that hideous state of a burning torment, the only knowledge that mattered was that Jesus Christ was Lord. And here I am in this state of agony, indescribable agony, and the only thing that mattered was that I never surrendered to the lordship of Jesus Christ. There was so much regret and shame and guilt that I had believed a lie and that I had believed the deceit. And when I looked out across the lake, across the heavens, I could see the entire universe, Pat. And it was like the earth was magnified. And there was a mutual feeling, a mutual understanding of everyone, the thousands and millions of people that were there with me, that we did not want anyone to go where we were. We wanted people to go back to earth and warn everyone, don't believe the lie. Do not be deceived by your enemy. Do not come here. You could look across the Gulf expanse and you could see heaven. You could see the peace, the joy, the love, the wholeness. And you knew you were never going to experience that because time does not exist in eternity. Time does not exist at all. And the only thing you can do is hope that no one else will come where you are. That in my screaming and in my agony and in the revelation of what I experienced, God came down from heaven and this hand scooped me up, Pat, and picked me up. And so when this hand picked me up and took me over the vast expanse, took me over that Gulf fix, it's huge. But to God, it's just like a simple,
well, that's what Jesus said in the parable. There's a great gulf between us fixed.
Yes.
And there was a great gulf.
A great gulf. And it was of nothingness.
Yeah.
Dark, just nothingness. And when I went over that and I entered into God's presence, you can't describe God's presence either, but it was love. And I had now left a place of death and torment and darkness. And now I had entered into a place of love.
Listening to that woman.
Wow.
I mean, have you ever imagined, guys, like, imagine you're somewhere and then you look around you, everybody's crying. I mean, and they say that even you'll know some people. Maybe some people are even the people that you looked up to. Some people are these people you idolize. They'll be there with you. I know in heaven and hell, you're all the same. There's no celebrity.
No, it's not. It's just everybody's tormented for eternity.
Yeah, in hell, yes.
You never will get out. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. And then you're crying and you can't die. I mean, you can't die. I'll not want to be in such a situation. You know, where you're feeling like, get me out of here. It's like being in a nightmare. It's even worse than a nightmare. I've been in a nightmare where I want to wake up. But now can you imagine you can't wake up from that?
You're hopeless because you have no hope.
Yes.
God's not there. Even the very presence of God is not there.
Mm-hmm.
You chose not to serve God. This is separation forever.
And then you're just thinking that, what if I gave my life to Christ? What if I change the way I live? What if I gave up my worldly desires? And, you know, there's nothing as bad as regret. You know, you're regretting and you're seeing that I'm already here. And then the worst part, did you hear what she said? There's this gulf. It's even in the Bible about this gulf. And you see heaven on the other side. And there's so much peace. There's so much. Can you imagine seeing peace and joy and people happy that side, moving around, and you can't cross over? I mean, you can't. And every day you're just there in touch, and you can't just go.
That's hell in itself enough. Looking up and seeing the beauty of heaven and knowing you can see it, but you'll never feel it nor touch it.
Yeah.
And you'll never leave this place ever.
Hey guys, I think we should think twice of where we want to go. Really think twice. Even me, every day I have to think of my life.
Exactly.
And I'm always telling God, if there's something I'm doing that will cause me not to step in heaven, please, Lord, show me.
Yes.
And just forgive me. And that's why we should ask for forgiveness every day. I mean, don't sleep without asking for forgiveness. And I mean, every day of your life, every time, praise God, thank God, but always ask for forgiveness, because we never know. We've all fallen short of the glory of God. So you never know whether you're committing sin. You know, we commit sin with our eyes, with our ears. So that's why we ask for forgiveness with our thoughts. Oh, that was chilling. And now this second guy, do you remember the story, babe?
I know he had basically, he was dying and he was rushing him to the hospital.
Yes, he got a heart attack.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yes.
It was a gunshot, a heart
It
attack.
was a heart attack, and he's 25 years old.
25, heart attack.
So don't think heart attack is for old people. Oof. Even young people nowadays. You saw that guy, the son of...
I think LeBron James had a heart attack.
Yes, LeBron's son had a heart attack, and he's a very young
18
guy.
years old.
18. And he's very sportish, plays games, active. So imagine, it doesn't mean that if you're not active, you're the only people who get heart attack. Even people who are active get it.
He went out of shape, that's for sure.
Yeah. So this guy got a heart attack, and then boom, he said traveling to hell is very easy and short. It's very short. That journey to hell is very short. And there's also, after that, now this one is even more interesting. He even saw heaven. But today we are just mainly focusing on hell. Should we do heaven? I think we should just put it that way. It will be long. We should do heaven. We should do a series of heaven so that you see how heaven is. And we'll look for that. But now he went to hell. He said it's very short when you go to hell. But now, the same experience. The crying. Just listen to this guy.
Wow.
I felt myself falling.
So the first thing you felt was yourself falling?
Yes, like a...
But you're in a car. What do you mean?
in my mind, I went into a place of like, I can see my body falling from my eyes. I can see what I'm seeing, but I can't react. It's like a sunken place. That's real. I know it's people, it's just, movie and things like that, but that is real. Where like you can hear and you can see, but everything is so distant, there's nothing you can do about it. And I felt myself falling away from my eyes. And then all of a sudden, I let myself go straight to hell.
Straight to hell.
Mm-hmm. Before that point happened, my soul left my body.
What was that like? I mean, how do you know your soul left your body?
Because it was an aerial view. I was passed out or going what I was going through first and then passed out, but I can see where my dad was going. I told him the lanes he was changing. I told him the cars he was going behind, everything. And my dad was
so
moving.
after you came back, you told your dad everything that happened while you were passed out?
While I was passed out.
And you were like in the air looking at it?
I felt like an eagle looking down. I can see almost the whole city, but I can also see my dad at the same time. It was something unbelievable. And then when it got to that point, I went straight to hell.
You went straight to hell. How do you know it was hell? What did you?
Number one, it was a very short fall. You go from an aerial view and then boom, I could feel myself get pulled down immediately. I went straight to hell. And when I get there, it is not like a lot of the movies and some books and stuff. It's nothing like that. It's hot, but there's no fire, but it's very hot.
I'll just say that again. That's an important point. You said it's hot, but there's no fire.
It's hot, but there's no fire.
Okay.
It's like molten rocks. It's like molten rocks. It's really hot. It's really orange. It's glowing. I'm talking thousands of degrees glowing. Like, it's not supernatural in the way of heavenly, but this is still a supernatural thing because the ground is thousands of degrees, but your feet aren't burnt. You're very hot, but you're not passed out.
And see, a lot of people don't realize that the Bible actually says that hell will one day be cast into the lake of fire.
Yes.
So hell right now is not necessarily
It's not
the fire, but the Revelation says it will one day be cast into the lake of fire.
Yes.
So you saw that place right now. Where do you think it was? Because you say you went down. Do you have any sense as to where you were?
If I had to take an educated guess, I would say more like the center of the earth is what it felt like. It felt like the center because it's glowing, molten rocks all around you. It's like people are standing on shells of rock. It's very hot, it's glowing. You're very thirsty. You can't breathe. You're extremely hungry. There's extreme torment. I mean, the odor is terrible. I mean, everything about hell you can imagine is everything bad you can imagine life is what hell is. You can't breathe, you can't talk, you're in torment, you're screaming. It's very hot. It's not fire, but it's very hot. You can't seem to grasp the concept of real life because it's all of your worst. Just for a second, take your worst thoughts and your worst experiences and stretch that for eternity. I mean, take the deepest hurts and the deepest things, the worst mistakes, all of those things, and the devil puts it to where like you are thinking about that stuff so much, you are losing your mind for the rest of your life, for eternity, forever. We're not talking about 10 minutes. We're not talking about having a bad day or a bad week or a bad shift at work. We're talking about for as long as time could ever last, eternity, you're going through torment, losing your mind.
Now, the Bible says that in that place, the worm dies not. And when you look at that word worm, it actually means your conscience. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is the torment is oftentimes thoughts.
It is your life. You're thinking of your mistakes. You're thinking of things you've done wrong, people you've hurt, things that have hurt you, people that have died. You remember your life. Hell isn't a made up, he's just making you feel crazy. Everything you ever went through, even things that you didn't go through that you could have went through, he shows you. So in hell, not only are you hurt from the things you went through, but you're hurt because now you realize how good God really was to you.
Were other people there?
Yes.
What, like a lot? Or
it's a lot.
All around. So do you hear sounds from other people?
You hear a lot of screaming, a lot of crying, a lot of torment. And the thing is, you can see everybody. Everybody can see each other, but you can't talk because you are losing your mind so much you can't even grasp the concept of communication. It's not like you're blinded that's what adds to the worst part of it. Is you can see everybody else's hurt along with yours. And you still have that in your heart. You still hurt in your heart while you're in heaven. So you're seeing people go through what they're going through and it hurts you even more.
So were you trying to get out of there? Were you trying to scream out to God? What do you remember about?
You are in a place to where the hurt is so bad because you realize how good God was. Part of the torment is you are begging God to save you. You are begging God to come get me out of this place, and it's too late. You know what you want, but you realize it's too late at the same time.
Now in Luke chapter 16, we have that passage where the guy from hell begins to cry out to Abraham in the bosom and say, would you dip your finger in some water and bring it down here because I'm tormented in this flame. I'm thirsty. So is that what you?
Yeah, you're extremely thirsty. There's just two things that make it hard. You're extremely thirsty and you can barely breathe.
Now, some people have the question because you're not in your body, so how do you remember? How do you talk? How do you feel? How do you encounter thirst?
You know, it's actually not a physical thing. Like, you don't feel it here, you feel it like here. Like, you feel like you're thirsty, but I don't think it's just a thirst for liquid. I think you have a thirst for God that's unbelievable. Now you're at a place that is way too late. I don't think it's just about, I need water. It's that too, but it's really, I have a thirst for God now, because the devil, literally, you're seeing everything that God kept you out of and what you could have went through, places you could have went and died.
Now, Dad, you're still looking at him and he's still not there. You're still driving him to the emergency room. You have no idea he's going through all of this. When you heard this part of it, what did you think?
It's amazing how prayer, things shift with how you shift in prayer. As I was rebuking Satan, I was crying out to the Lord. I felt a power go through my body and through my hand. And the Lord said, don't take your hands off him. So as I was prophesying to him, I was speaking about his purpose. I was speaking about what God created him for. I was saying, you shall live and not die. God is with us, because I'm one-handed going through traffic about 100 miles an hour in the Escalade, and just... So by the time we get to the hospital, he hadn't moved. So the Lord put in my spirit Lazarus experience. And I said, what do you mean, Lord? He said, call his name. So he was sitting there. He hadn't moved for the last 10 minutes. And when I called his name, he didn't move. And that scared me. I screamed his name the way Jesus must have screamed Lazarus. And I said, Joshua. And when I said it, he came to himself. And it was like it was a quickening spirit, because he really looked around like he didn't know where he was or where he had been. And he was so weak that
this guy was a young guy in his 20s, had a heart attack, and he went to hell. Wow. I mean, it's real, whether you want to believe it or not.
He went to hell, my goodness. And he says that you can't breathe there. It's so warm. And then you can't talk to each other because you're feeling so much pain. You know, when you went through labor pain, when I went through labor pain, I felt like that is something I had never felt before. But now I'm just thinking, labor pain is nothing.
The worst pain you can imagine,
yes,
doesn't compare to this. And usually when you're in pain,
no, it's fine,
you'll go through the pain and the pain will go away. This is forever. There's no time there. Time is gone. It's continuous pain,
and you can't stop it.
You're right, baby. It's forever. I mean, you'll never stop it, and it's not a bad dream. It's beyond a bad dream.
Yeah, it's like, wake me up from this. And then they say that you see everything you did here on earth. It's like it's brought on a flashlight, and you can see how everything you did wrong, like it's just there. And God shows you how he saved you, the things that should have happened to you, and he saved you from them. And maybe when you are here on earth, you thought that, I'm lucky, but it shows you that this could have happened, but I stopped it from happening. And you can imagine how bad you'll feel about that, like how bad you'll feel. And there are so many things that can happen to us. Some we can't even see, it's in the spiritual realm, but you can imagine how much God is preventing it from happening. So imagine that is just shown like a flash about your life. And then they say it's too hot. We are in the summer here in the US. It's very hot. We can't get even out. You feel like you can't breathe because it's so humid.
No comparison.
But now they say that this is nothing.
Yeah, this be like paradise here.
Yes. And can you imagine how much when we burn we cry? So can you imagine more than that?
If you just barely say you're striking a match and it gets you on the finger, you cry and you hobble around.
Yeah, or even hot water pours on your oil.
But it's forever.
Yeah.
It's never getting out of this.
There's no getting out. There's no getting out. And we need to change our ways. I mean, guys, we need to change our ways. Don't look up. Look at who you're looking up to. There are people who are living this life. They've already signed their deal. They don't care whether they're going to hell. They are already serving the devil, and they want as many people as they can to go with them to hell.
Yeah.
And you think that the way this fun that you have here in hell, it will be that fun? There'll be no fun like that.
Here's the thing: hell's not made for us as people.
Yeah.
Hell is made for Satan and the demons, the fallen angels who rebelled against God.
Yes.
That's who hell is made for.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere along the line, Satan got into people's mind that there's this big party there. He knows where his destination is. He can't change anything about where his final destination is. He can never change it. So he's trying to separate us from God.
And lying to us with the good things.
Yes.
Remember, he tried that with Jesus by showing Jesus the nice things so that Jesus can bow to him and worship him.
Yep.
So he kind of intrigues you with very nice things. Yep. So that, because he knows what man loves. And especially now that we are living at hard times, so many people are signing themselves up for the devil. So you want to sign yourself up to enjoy this life, but what? For what? For what? Because you don't know whether tomorrow even you're waking up.
Mm.
So we are not promised of tomorrow. Like, we are just living by the grace of God.
What if you get all the money in the world? Just say $1 trillion, but yet tonight, when you lay down tonight, you die.
Yeah.
Somebody go fight over that money. You're not gonna use it anymore. Somebody go bicker and say, "Well, that was my dad. No, that was my husband." But you're dead. Did you know Jesus, or did you know?
And it doesn't even last forever. You see, the thing is this. Yeah, it's good to work hard. It's good to have money.
Oh yeah, it's not wrong with that.
Yeah, but at the back of your mind, know that who are you putting as the center of your life? Are you idolizing this money? Because also the love of money is the root of all evil. Or are you putting God first? There are people who have it all, but still God is still there for them. Like they put God first. Like Job, Job, he had everything. He was so rich, the richest man in his land. But God was there. He put God first.
Even when he went through everything he went through, he still put God first.
Yes. So it depends. Are you putting God first? And because God blesses people with money and all these things. But those people also who are looking up to him too. There are people who are also blessed, and it's not like they serve God. They have these things, and God has blessed them with great minds and all that. But now the problem is that and the good thing is that God doesn't take that away from you. I mean, once he blesses you, once you're blessed, he doesn't take it away. That is the good thing with God. He doesn't tell you, if you don't do this, I'll take this away from you. He gives you the freedom. That's why we say there's freedom in Christ. So he gives you that freedom to choose. And he gives you that freedom. And if you don't choose him, he still loves you. And he's always waiting for you, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God allows us to be a free agent. He don't make us serve him. He don't say, Jason, Irene, you're going to serve me or else. Or else. No, he gives us free will. If we choose to serve him, he'll bless us and we'll spend eternity with him.
Yes.
If we don't, then we're going to hell. People say, well, why would God send people to hell? God don't send people to hell.
We send ourselves to hell. It's
he gives us so much.
We make.
Sorry, but he gives us so much freedom. He loves us that much. He don't want to make us love him. He gives us a choice to love him.
Yes.
Let's choose to love him.
Amen. So if you've been blessed by those videos, choose heaven. Choose Christ.
Absolutely.
Don't go to hell after watching that video. I mean, every day, make that choice that you'll serve God and you will honor him in your life. So thank you, guys.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe. We want you part of our family, and see more videos coming.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Later.